I'm standing in between you and cocktail party, right? Yeah? Okay. So I was asked if I could somehow condense my presentation, and after what we just heard, I too need a drink, so I said absolutely. So here we go. Just as Kathy Metcalf mentioned this morning, I too come from the shipping part of our industry. So I'm going to take a little bit different twist on what we're talking about. In all of our efforts, I think we could agree to minimize the impact of climate change will ultimately lead to more regulations. It has already. So when we're talking about decarbonization, we're talking about burning lower sulfur fuels. We need those in the ports. Ships are installing exhaust gas cleaning systems or scrubbers. A lot of ports are saying you can use your scrubbers, but you can't discharge your exhaust gas cleaning systems. So when you take everything that we're doing globally, and we're going to go through some of the numbers in a second, and then you ask all these ships around the world to comply with every regulation that comes out almost on a daily basis, it's a lot. So I'm going to give you one example of one tool that's out there on the market that helps shipboard personnel, the crew on board, whose livelihood depends on them doing things correctly, to navigate these complexities. Okay? So we're going to skip this. Again, my background is in shipping. It's in technical operations. It's in procurement. And now, for the past 20-some years, it's strictly focused on MARPOL environmental compliance. So we're going to talk about this product called Ocean Guardian. And Ocean Guardian basically takes environmental regulations from around the world and puts them into a really easy-to-use database at the international, national, regional, and port level. And today, for those of you who haven't sailed, if you wonder how do the bridge officers, how do the people in the engine control room, how do the guys starting the pumps and opening the valves, how do they know when they can do it and when they can't do it? This is one of the best practices over the past number of years. Robust workbooks, Excel workbooks. And these get updated by email. So it's not very efficient whatsoever. So we've taken that and built what we call Ocean Guardian, and it takes regulations from all around the world and gives each and every regulation its own digital file. It has a unique identifier, it has a description, it has a copy of the regulation, it takes an excerpt from the regulation that says what you cannot do, and then based on the ship's location, gives them an overview. It does it for the ports as well. So when we talked this morning about cooperation and communication, at the end of my presentation, I'm going to make a little plea for you. And I tell you, if you entertain my plea, I'll buy you a drink, okay, right outside when we get out of here. So what these regulations do is coming into port. So just a couple weeks ago, Port Everglades, and we had the acting port director here, Glenn Wiltshire, they changed their tariff and they no longer allow discharge of ballast water. How does that get communicated? This is one way that it gets added to a database and deployed to users from around the world. Okay? So this is a visual of what the ships see and what command centers see in shoreside operation. This is just a visual of a ship's GPS location. And on the right-hand side, it gives you the environmental discharges that those ships have to comply with. Air emissions, ballast water, garbage, treated bilge water. So if you can imagine trying to maintain that, trying to take all of those changes that you're putting in place in your ports to ensure that you're minimizing your environmental footprint in the operations that's going on within your ports, all of those ships that are coming port to port, moving all those goods around the world so that we can live a nice life. This is one way to make sure that everybody knows what they have to do and how they can minimize their operation. Okay. Just showing the documentation. So just to wrap it up, and I really condensed it there. So just as this is just one example of the number of regs that sit out there today. So to give you an idea, to kind of put this into context, So we have in our database 3,860 regulations just related to environmental operations, not safety, not security, not HR, not anything MLO. And of those, there's 2,518 ports where we're able to get documentation from. So my plea to you is to help bridge that gap, not gap, but help strengthen that bridge of communication and collaboration between associations such as AAPA, and thank you for inviting me here today, and associations like Chamber of Shipping, just helping that communication to make sure that we spread this information on how we can lessen our impact on climate change. So, thanks very much.